Hey guys, today's video is going to be about when to buy and sell and support and resistance. Before we get started though, I didn't record this morning because I'm working on getting the live streaming up. So we're just going to do a quick little recap. It's pretty basic morning. CTRV came out. Pretty good press release. You can see it meets all the criteria, low float. It was, in the price range earlier. And then, let's see, the news, it's been halted a ton this morning. A lot of halts. So yeah, the positive results from second model of liver fibrosis. Pretty good, I guess. So this thing went on a pretty massive run in pre-market. As you can see down here around like $5, and it got all the way up to $15.75. So that's a pretty big move, and we've seen this all week. These pharmaceutical stocks in pre-market are coming out with positive results and are getting these big moves. So as you can see, first hour of the market or whatever, it's pretty much all eyes on this play. This is the 5 minute. This thing kept getting halted, and so there wasn't really a lot else going on to really make a trade. This guy slowly started building, and you see it moved pretty well. Another positive results. This one would have actually been a pretty decent one to play. I don't think I saw it earlier, because I don't remember seeing it. But yeah, so cool. Reverse stock split. You see this thing's had a nice little pop in the beginning of the morning, and then it's done this little U shape. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like CTRV had all the volume until it died off, and you can see this guy right here started making a move. So that's pretty much it for the recap. Nothing else really to go into. So let's start with support and resistance, and then we'll go into when to buy and when to sell. So there's several different types of support and resistance that you have to look for when trading the stock. Okay, let's get this out of the way. So your moving averages on your yearly chart, right? The 9, the 50, the 200, those are going to act as support and resistance. So let's move over here so we can see a little closer. What's going on here? Well, anyway, we'll just do it from here. So you can see this stock has been under this moving average here. Actually, let me check something. Let me check my studies. Let me make sure my moving averages are right. Yeah. They're right. All right. So this guy, you can see it's been under this 9 EMA for a while. For pretty much almost a month. Been riding under. It breaks above that. The next line of resistance is the 50-day EMA. See, it broke above that, and now we're getting this move. And the next resistance wouldn't be till 1153. You see, you got this 200 EMA way up here. So there is going to be some other chart resistance. We'll go on that in a second, but I just want to show you guys how support and resistance works with these moving averages. And so you can go back all the way back here. It's been riding under here, popped up a little bit there, back down, riding under. You see, it just keeps riding right under. A little pop there. And then when these two cross over, the 50 became support. So let's look at that. So yeah, you can see it was below it. It's below the EMA. It was below resistance. It breaks through that resistance. It's above it. Now that resistance is support. So to make this as clear as possible, old resistance turns into new support. Right? So think of it like Mortal Kombat. Everybody's played Mortal Kombat one time in their life. If this is a floor, if support is the floor and resistance is the ceiling, when you're playing Scorpion and you uppercut somebody through that ceiling, you have to uppercut them with a lot of force. And when you do, they bust through that ceiling. See here? Here's the uppercut starting. Bam, uppercut, bust through the ceiling into a new level. So then they fall and that ceiling becomes the floor. So that's how support and resistance works. Floor is your support. Ceiling is your resistance. So you're going to think of it like that. So here comes the uppercut. Boom. You're through the ceiling. Bounce. You're on the floor. This resistance, this ceiling, when you come through it, becomes support, becomes your floor. So you can see this old resistance is holding this up now. It's supporting it, right? It's the floor. And you see it drops back down, but the 50 still held it up. So the 50 became the support. And the green one, the 9 EMA as well, became support, but the 50 was being stronger support. You can see rode here, rode here, rode here, dropped below, but still rode on top of that support line. So and it held up all the way until it finally cracked. So same thing with the Mortal Kombat reference. If you knock somebody below the floor, they drop below the floor. You have this hard push. Okay, so they bust through the floor. And now that old floor is the ceiling. So that's the resistance. That old floor becomes the resistance again. So you see, fall through the floor. Now this old floor is resistance. So this thing's hitting the ceiling, bust through the ceiling, Mortal Kombat uppercut again, bam, through the ceiling. And so now this old resistance will become new support. Okay, so that's what you got to look at. Once you know what support and resistance is when you're looking at charts, you'll be able to look at things and tell entries and places to sell and stuff like that. When to buy and when to sell. And we'll go into that. So if you look at the 5-minute chart, let's bring this guy up a little bit. We have the VWAP on here. It's just a measurement of the average shares weighted against something. I don't know. Big stock term, blah blah blah. But all I use it for is support and resistance. That's all you need it for. So you look, this thing came above this VWAP, this ceiling right here, dropped back below, and then as soon as it popped up again, it's rode up this floor. Now, in the case of the VWAP, in your intraday charts, on your 5 and 1 minute charts, it's usually not flat to be like a floor and a ceiling. So you just got to kind of think of this white line If it wasn't going straight up, it would be a floor. It's still a floor, or you could call it steps if you wanted to in this case, because you see it came through it, bounced, 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 and then it's just been riding up it the whole time. So it's above that floor, so there's nothing really holding it back. So to see on this chart where the next resistance would be, we have to look at this old chart, at the yearly chart, because like you can see, this stock is still going up. So where do we know when to sell? Well, let's take a look. Let's move this back here. Okay, so we know the next major resistance line is 1152. This is EMA, 200-day EMA. That's a big resistance line. What else is resistance lines on this chart? Make sure my draw there. So, I might have got that too high, but $10 is going to be the next major resistance line. Now, this is called a natural resistance. Every dollar and every quarter movement is resistance. So, $1, $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, $2, $2.25, $2.50, $2.75, $3. It's like that all the way up. And the reason being is because every time a stock moves 25 cents, that's a pretty good move. So you're going to have people selling there. So I'm explaining how to look at support and resistance, but to tell you exactly what support and resistance is, support is where you're going to have a ton of buyers to hold the stock up. Okay? So that's your floor. You've got a whole lot of people buying the stock at that price and not enough sellers to take out those buyers, then that price is going to hold up. It's your floor. It's your support. All right? Your resistance is where a lot of sellers are going to be at. There'll be a lot of sellers there, so it's going to be hard for it to get past that price. So if the stock, it's still going. It's going to get up to $9, it looks like, maybe. Oh, yeah, there it goes, right through $9. So if we can get, if we can see this level 2 get up to $10 bid up here, or $10 ask, then we'll be able to see. So already there's 10.02, there's a seller there. But you'll be able to see there will be a lot of sellers at this $10 mark, because that's going to be a major resistance. It's a whole number. $9 should have been some resistance, like I said, whole numbers. But this thing just blew right through $9. But $10 will hold up as strong resistance for sure. This stock just has a lot of momentum. Well, it kind of is getting held up at $9. It's not breaking through it. It blew through it really quick, but it's starting to get a little hung up now. But yeah, so $10 will be a major resistance, a major selling. There'll be a lot of sellers and probably not enough buyers to break through, at least right away anyway. So that's support and resistance as of what they actually are. Support is a price point where there's a ton of buyers and they outweigh the sellers. Resistance is a price point where there's a ton of sellers and it outweighs the buyers. Like I said, support's a floor. All right, let's see. I'm gonna keep an eye on this just for a second. And ceiling resistance is the ceiling. So let's see. I just want to see if it gets to 10 or not. See, 950. So 25-cent marks, like say 925, they're usually not as much resistance. 950 will be a little resistance. You can see it's getting held up a little bit. So think of it like this: 25-cent, $1.25, $1.75. Those are going to be some resistance. $1.50, $2, they're going to be stronger resistance. You can see it got held up at the 950. a little bit, but starting to bust through that now. So we're at 975. You see there's 3 sellers. 975 held it up a little bit. But at 10, you can already see there's starting to be some sellers in that area. 999, 1008. So let's just see. Well, no, looks like 975 held it up. Yes, it's already back down to 934. So yeah, that was a perfect live example of resistance in action. And so we're back, moving back again. I really want to see this touch $10 because I want y'all to see on this level 2 on the ask how many sellers are going to be at $10. And it's struggling to get there. But I mean, this thing has done moved from $5 to almost to $9.75 today. So it's a crazy move. So it's definitely going to be some heavy resistance. Okay. So anyway, we have that natural. Well, here we go. We have that natural resistance of every. Okay. So see here. Well. That's crazy. Well, there's still a lot of sellers. I don't know why they're at 1009. I mean, the stock's moving pretty fast, so but you can see $10 is going to hold it up pretty tough. It went above $10 a little bit, and you can see here that's 1,300 shares. Yeah, so if you saw that, there's a lot of selling going on right here in this $10 area. So that was perfect live example of resistance. Perfect. Okay. So besides the natural resistance of the every 25 cents and every 50 cents and every whole dollar, and those also will hold up a support too. Resistance will also be support. So every 25 cents, 50 cents, be some type of support or resistance. And then the EMAs, those are usually support and resistance. And then you have to look at the chart besides that and see if there's any past resistance. So we were looking at this chart. Is there any place where this stock has gotten held up at more than once? So you can see here it got held up at 1064. But there's not really anywhere else with it. But you could make a line here and say that this will be resistance, 1064. You go back down here. Now you can see this stock hit right in this area. Let's draw this line straight across. So I'm just trying to get as even as possible. But okay, anyway. And you see the red line. This hit here. It's under here. Came back up. Hit here. Hit here. Hit here. Hit here. This is right around at $7. It came above the $7, but for not very long. And it came back down. Hit here. Came above it a little bit. So you can see that for whatever reason, that $7 area, which $7 is natural whole area, it also became support and resistance on the chart. So look at there, $10. There's a 15,000 share seller at $10 exactly on the level 2. Okay, I'm going to stop getting distracted now. It's just such a good example right now. But anyway, so that $7 area was a support and resistance line. It's resistance here, turned into support here, back down, turned into resistance, turned into support here. You can see went up, bounced down, bounced off right here, came back up, and then went drop below again. So $7 would have been some type of resistance and support, and that would be past chart and the natural resistance. So your next spot actually be right in this area. We actually got a pretty good break through that too. So you can see right here, this stock was bouncing off of this mark, right in this $8.89 area. See, it was bouncing, cracked below. So this was the support, and then it became the resistance. So it came up a little bit. Didn't quite get up there, but right here you can see it came up, bounced off, came up again, couldn't get through, and then we had this breakthrough. So looking at this chart right now, we have a lot of resistance in this area. There's a lot of people going to be selling at these areas. Now it did break through here, and it did break through here. That's why you got the big rip, because you have it breaking through, these two support lines, or I'm sorry, these two resistance lines, these two ceilings. It busts through, comes up, hits this ceiling, busts through, comes up, and $10. Now, $10 is going to be one of the strongest resistance lines. And the reason being is because once one of these stocks goes over $10, it attracts a whole new field of traders. Okay, you got a lot of big hedge firms and all that stuff, because it's no longer a penny stock when it's over $10. It's like, oh, this is a big boy stock now. It's going to take a lot of money to move this. So when people see that it's coming up to $10, they're going to say, well, this probably won't break through. But if it does, you're going to get a lot of new traders and excitement in on it, and it can keep moving. But it'll hold up as that resistance because of people thinking that, it can't break through. This is a penny stock. It shouldn't be over $10. This is too high of a price for it. So people are going to sell there. And then plus, if you have moves like this, I mean, $5, $6, if you got in anywhere, you're talking $3 or $4 profit through here. People are going to start selling heavy. They're going to start getting rid of their shares and locking in their profits. So $10 is always going to be really strong. As you can see, $10 has held this stock up for this entire video so far, and it probably will continue. Now, like I said, if it does happen to bust through $10, then it could keep moving, but then you've got this resistance at $11.54. So, and that's pretty much all your support and resistance. Just remember, support acts as a floor, resistance acts as a ceiling. So, Mortal Kombat, okay? Now, using support and resistance is how we tell when to buy and when to sell. So, looking at this stock, looking at this chart, we want to see where would we buy at. So we need our 4 criteria, and this stock has the 4 criteria today. So we would be looking for an entry, but where would we be looking for an entry is the question. So like I said, let's space this up. We've got all these lines in here. We know things have kind of moved now, but that's okay. So we know by looking at the 1 minute chart, so let's shrink this. The 5 minute chart right now. Whoops, what am I doing? Wrong thing. Okay, so we look here. This thing opened up, came up to here, the 672 area. And you see my lines are on this chart as well. So you know this area is resistance for sure. What just happened? Okay. So you know that area is resistance for sure. Right here. Because we got held up there and there's resistance there. So, we know this line is for sure resistance. So when this stock opens up and it drops down, okay, See, it was below the VWAP. VWAP is support and resistance. It breaks above the VWAP, so we could buy right there. I just made a triangle. That's a lesson for another day, making patterns. But yeah, this wasn't a pattern too. But okay, so you see right here. Let's see if I can use a different drawing tool. Maybe an oval. So you see right here. How does this oval work? Okay, there we go. Never used the oval before. This is new territory with the ovals. So well, now it doesn't want to work. Stupid oval. Okay. What else can we use? About a rectangle. Well, let me use a rectangle. Actually, I just saw what we need to use. Okay. Oops. Where am I at? Drawings. Bear with me. I'll get there. Let's try this out. Let's see if this works. Well, that's not exactly where I wanted it. That's still not where I want it is. Okay, so there, you see the red arrow. That's why it broke above the VWAP, so you could buy here. And then you remember the VWAP is support. And so you could hold on this VWAP as long as it's staying above the VWAP. So it's staying above that support. It keeps going, going, going. And now where would you want to sell? Well, if you bought in here, you could sell here at this resistance. But if it's above the VWAP, it's still holding up, you wouldn't want to sell yet because it's still bullish, it's still positive, it's still moving. So you keep holding, it goes up and up and up. And now you're getting way off of this floor. So when you get way off of the floor of this VWAP, way off of support, you know that the resistance is going to be somewhere. There's got to be a ceiling somewhere, right? So we found the ceiling here earlier. So you could sell there, or you could even wait longer. I mean, you can keep holding. You're above this VWAP, so as long as you're there, you know, this VWAP is a moving floor, moving up and up and up with the price of the stock. So you can keep holding, and you could literally, if you would have got into the break of the VWAP, you could literally still be in this play way up here if you wanted to, holding. But you could sell right here at $10. That would be a safe spot too. So you get in at that break of the VWAP, and you can sell here, you can sell here, and you can sell here. Okay? Or you can just keep holding if you'd like. I mean, that's up to you. But as long as it stays above this VWAP line, then you can just keep holding and sell once it goes below once it starts to go below the VWAP. So pretty simple. Okay, so where's the next entry? So if you got in here, your next entry, I mean, you're looking at this, you know, you could say, well, I think this is going to continue to make this U-shaped pattern or this triangle pattern. I want to get in a little early before the next breakout. So what I would look to do is I would wait for it to come back down to the VWAP, but still building a higher price. So you see right here, it went up there, and then you had this pullback, so it'd be right here. So right here, when it hit the VWAP and bounced back up, you could get in there. That's a good entry too. And you just hold until, as long as you're above the VWAP. As long as you're above this support, you just hold from there. Now your next entry would be the breakout entry. And that would be right here. So you got this old resistance. You got the break of this U See this U? Got the break of that. So you could buy here. And you'd have this pop right here. Now, at this point, you're in a little high because there's these other two entries down here, but this is fine. You can be in here and you could sell up here. Like you'd see this, it'd go all the way up, and then when you start to have this red candle, you could sell here in this red candle, or once again, you could hold it to the VWAP. So you see it get real, it would get a little sketchy right there, but you're still off of the VWAP, so you could hold through that, and then you'd have this big move. So you could, again, you could sell here, and you could sell up here. The selling is not as important as the entry. Like, you want to get a good entry. Okay, there we go. Like, you don't want to buy in a bad place and get scared out. So say this stock starts moving like this and you wait and you buy up here. You know, you're going to be up really high. You're way off of this support. You're kind of in no man's land. So this red candle here, you're probably going to sell. Like, a lot of rookie traders probably bought in here and sold real quick and lost. So you can see $10 still hold up as resistance on this thing. So you want to look for the entries at the break of the old resistance. So like I said, the VWAP, this resistance here, and you can sell at these other resistance marks. So I hope I've made that pretty clear. I know there's kind of a lot going on. I'm got this stock going up, and this stock's been going kind of crazy since I've been doing this video, but sometimes that happens. $10 is still holding up, but it's going to try. It's trying to break $10. So if it does break $10, like a strong break, like so far it's not had a strong break. This is a little strong, but it pulled all the way back down below $10. But now you can see this one, $10 is starting to hold up as support. So once people see that this old resistance at $10 is now strong support, this is a strong floor now. Look at there. That's exactly what I was about to say. As soon as people see that, bam, you're going to get your big move off of $10. Okay, so you know, it's stock market can be very predictable. But that's basically it for support and resistance. You got your natural resistance and support every 25 cents, every 50 cents, every whole dollar. You have your moving averages, your 9, your 50 and 200, and you have your old chart resistance. So these red lines that we mapped out, and then also old chart resistance on the minute and 5 minute chart. So by doing that, you'll know where to buy and where to sell at. Okay, now for a test, because you want to be able to, you want to get to where you can look at a chart and see all this beforehand. Like if you find a stock, you don't want to take a whole lot of time sitting there mapping it out. Now you can. I mean, if it's 30 minutes before market open and you found 2 or 3 stocks that you know you want to play, you can map it all out. But eventually you want to get to where as soon as you see a chart, this is all mapped out in your head. Okay, so let's do some tests. Okay, let's see here. Let's keep it simple. Let's see what this is. ADIL. All right. So let's bring this back. Take a look here. All right. So what we got here? You can see once again this EMA It rode the EMA all the way up. It's kind of like the VWAP. If you were swing trading, see this dip here? Starts to break above this EMA. You could get in there and just hold. You probably could sell there or just keep holding. But you can see for swing trading, the EMAs work too. Now this is like a 2-week span where you could have got in here and sold up here. You see those held up. If we're looking for a day trade, let's see what we got. We have the EMAs. So this thing is above the 202. The EMA is right around $2, so it's above $2. So this will hold up as $2 will hold up as support on this stock because you got the EMA there at $2. $2 is a whole number. So strong support we know is at $2. Your entry would have been, let's see where this opened up at. It opened up above $2. So this is not a great day trading chart to be looking at, but basically right in this area when it broke $2, that's where you would have wanted your entry to be. So that's fine. Your next resistance. So you got, let's see, kind of not too much there. Too much there. So right here at 267, you can see back here. Take this. I get a lot. Yeah, got a lot. Okay, so what's going on here? Come on. There we go. All right, so you can see there it came through this ceiling. There's a little ceiling there. That's where it broke through. Came up, came all the way back down, bounced right here. Came up, bounced right here, started riding. So this was support. And back here it was resistance. So this line right here is a support and resistance line. This is a wall in the ceiling. So it broke through there. You can find the entry today at 218. By looking at that, you see it's going to break, I'm sorry, 208, 209. Whenever you can see if it breaks through this ceiling, it could go on a move. So right there's that ceiling. We marked it up here. It's right here. It broke through. It's moved up to 219. So you could have bought here, this break, and where would you want to sell at? Where's your next selling point? So your next selling point is going to be right around here at 269, but you have this EMA here of 259. So right in here, you can see this thing. I'm not even going to mark the line, but you can see with the white line that there was, so it acted as support there for a little bit. But you know this is going to be strong resistance because this EMA is here, plus 250, 50 cent. So basically at 250, I would probably sell this. But if you look right here, there's almost a 15,000 seller at 219. So seeing that, that's going to be big resistance. That's what we're looking at. So you know that area is going to be strong resistance. So you'd probably just sell right here at 219. I mean, there's not a lot of volume on this stock. It's not really doing any massive movements like the other one is. I wouldn't trade this anyway, but like I said, you could see where you could have bought in here, and then you see right here that there's some resistance there, so you would just sell. So that's fine, but yeah, that's pretty simple. So there is a lot of different support and resistance. Like I said, the natural and the EMAs and the chart pattern resistance and support. So once you learn that and you can go into a stock and look, then you can easily know when to buy and sell. So we look at this one. This chart is just craziness, but you can see back here it broke through this old resistance, came up, and then bouncing off this support, bounce, now busted through, and it kind of bounced off of this one, but you come back up and then bust through to the up, bounce. So you see how the EMAs act as support and resistance. Very, very simple. Like, you don't even have to know what an EMA is. You can just look at that line and say, okay, if it's above this line, it's good. If it's below this line, it's not good. So you could say, oh, it popped through here. I could buy here for a swing trade, and you just hold up this damn line. Like, how easy is that? I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, as long as you know that, where your supports and resistances are and how to buy and sell on them, it's very easy to make money in the stock market. So you can see up here, when this thing, as both these EMAs met up, this thing fell through the floor, both floors, and it just took a dive. Because there's nothing back here anymore to hold this thing up. Like, it had a little slowdown right there, because you can see there was a little support back there, but not much, and it fell through. And now, right here, if you look, this is where it got held up before. You see it got held up there for some reason. So $1.50. So it got held up at $1.50 before, and when it busted through $1.50 here too, would have been another entry. But $1.50 is natural resistance, and you can see it came almost down to $1.50, and it bounced back up to $2.20. So this old resistance here became new support here. Okay, so I mean, that's pretty simple. This is a pretty ugly chart pattern too, but you know. See what else we got. CTRV. Now this one's a little tricky, because if you're looking at the yearly chart, all three EMAs are pretty much above the stock the whole time. 50 cents is a heavy resistance line, so it would take a lot to move this. And of course, it had good press releases and things like that, and this thing popped way on up there. I mean, and that's why you have this huge movement on this. Once it was above this, there's no old chart patterns to hold it back. There's no EMAs to hold it back. This thing just shot through the roof. So when you find chart patterns like this that are pretty much flat and there's nothing above them, if they get any type of good news and they have a low float, then you can get these big, huge moves. So there's really not any way to see at this point. Now, at this point, if you're trying to get in this stock for a swing trade or something, like, where do you get in at? The only support and resistance that you have is natural. So you can see when it came through $10, it bounced off of $10 here, kind of. But $10, you see, it's still right there as a support and resistance line. So $10 will act as support. So maybe when this, came through, you could have got a bounce play right there at $10. Let's look at the chart here. Yeah, so I mean, at this point, you're basically just going off of natural resistance. You have nothing else to go off of for support and resistance. So that makes it kind of scary. When there's EMAs, it means every trader can see it. They can see those EMAs, so they know that those are support and resistance, and they're going to hold up better as support and resistance. Now, this only has natural support and resistance. So right now 1575 is the only chart pattern resistance that we have historically, like, so that's it. And then natural, you know, like 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So it makes the natural support and resistance not as efficient. Like, you don't really know what's going to hold this stock up and what's going to keep this stock from crashing. Like, there's no way to really tell support and resistance. I mean, you can look at the chart or the level 2 and look for, you know, the big buyers and big sellers, but there's just nothing. Like, see right now, I mean, we've got a big buyer at 1126. So, I mean, it's not even that big of a buyer. It's only 1,000 shares. And over here is not really much resistance. So now we got 2,900 at, well, it's gone now. So see what I'm saying? The predictability on this is like, it's not great. So I wouldn't even want to play this stock. I mean, you're just way up here, just doing whatever. Like, how do you, I mean, it's really hard to trade that at this point. Really hard to trade. I mean, you can use the VWAP. You can see it broke above the VWAP, and it rode up the VWAP. So in pre-market, you could have bought here at the break of the VWAP and then sold here. I mean, that's basically the only thing that I can see to use for any type of predictability. But yeah, that's pretty much it for support and resistance and when to buy and to sell. Now, to wrap it all together, let's go back to this guy right here. Okay, so we want the stocks to have that 4 criteria: the low float, price range of 50 cents to $10, some type of news catalyst, and volume. So LJPC meets all of these. Okay, now we want to find our support and resistances, which we did, and find our entries, which we did. So we've got narrowed down to this stock. In the morning, we want to find the entry. So we see it open pre-market, starts to crash, and then the open, we start making this U shape. We break above the VWAP. We buy at the VWAP. Okay, so pretty simple. Like this, it was an easy money maker today. Like, it met all 4 criteria. Okay, got the break above the VWAP, break above the resistance. You could buy there, ride it up the VWAP, or you could buy as the U starting to form right here on the bounce of the VWAP, or you could buy right here at the break of the U shape. So very simple, very good play. Kind of a later play. I mean, it was moving a little bit this morning, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all there is to it. You're just looking for those support and resistance lines on the stocks that meet the full criteria, and you're just looking for those good entries. You know, break of the VWAP, break of resistance, break of a U-shaped resistance. Like, pretty simple. So you just tie it all together. Now, the next thing we'll do is chart patterns, and we'll save that for another video because there's few chart patterns I like to use. This right here, this U is one of them. It's pretty consistent and easy to predict.